Perfect, 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 perfect. What is going on, folks? We are back with 3BG at the movies. Me and Sue talking about F1. Quite possibly, look, me and you said this. We were not expecting F1 to be Ford versus Ferrari.
Yes. But I still stand by that.
But this is a movie just like Ford versus Ferrari. You might want to take your behind to an IMAX theater to see this. Now I'm talking like at the Aerospace Museum.
Yeah,
IMAX.
absolutely.
Because holy shit, this is an experience.
It was very, very entertaining. I enjoyed I love the way that this movie was shot.
I mean,
the soundtrack, of course, was great. Brad Pitt killed it.
Also, Apple had a lot of fuck you money, so that's probably why.
I did enjoy all the product placement of Apple.
Yeah, so the basis of F1 is Brad Pitt plays Sonny Hayes. He was a F1 race car driver back in the day. He got into a severe accident, which if you even have cursory knowledge of F1 in any sort of way, the way they show the accident and how it happened, it's brutal as fuck. It's like holy shit. And so he basically, he hits every check mark for veteran talent, degenerate gambler, can't keep a woman, and all this stuff, right? And essentially he's kind of doing this thing where he's racing in different races. And when we see him, he's racing Daytona, and such. And he's also trying to do rally racing. He's doing all these things just to kind of like get the feel of driving back. And his boy, played by Javier Bardem, he owns a F1 team, and he wants him to join up on his F1 team to train this young upstart, played by Damson Idris.
Yep, named John Pierce.
Joshua Pierce.
Yeah, Joshua Pierce.
And shenanigans ensue in these kind of movies. I said it was Days of Thunder F1 edition, which it is.
Mm-hmm.
Got it works.
Whole lot of young versus old. But go
ahead.
And
what's funny? Young versus old, funny enough, never gets old if you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the actor, because sometimes the shtick of the old versus young, the youth needs to learn from the old people, and the old people. It's like, all right, man, like we get it, but like when it's done right, you kind of just like shrug and move on from it, because it's like, all right, I'm cool with it. It works.
Where it hits for me is, when the young cat has to tell the old guy, like, yeah, this guy's old, like 40, 50 years old.
Where's your grades, old man?
And it's just the way that he describes somebody old. Like, here's how bad it is, because it's not even just him. You got other people that talk about Sonny, and they say, hey, look, man, like when it was your prime, when you were racing in your prime, we were still doing the Macarena and yada yada yada. I'm like, oh God, why do we have to be reminded of this?
But that was the thing, because when you look at his prime, it looked like it was like the 80s.
It almost does look like that.
Because the way they did the de-aging technology for it, I was like, yeah, it looks like 80s Brad Pitt with long hair. Same with Javier. I'm like, all right.
But the fact that they just kept mentioning 90s stuff, and I'm like, God, was the 90s really that long ago?
I mean, it's 2025, so
it's 2025.
5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, look, sometimes it doesn't really hit. Like you can look back on stuff from the 80s and go, yeah, that was that now has become a long time ago. But it's gotten to the point where 90s is officially a long time ago, and even early 2000s is a long time ago.
Bro, I just
getting old sucks. Okay,
I watched The Inkwell, and that's a movie that came out in the early 90s, and it's set in the 70s. but it's just like, holy shit, this came out in what, 93, 94?
Yeah.
And it's like, god damn, that was a long time. But again, it's to what I've always joked, like the youth now look at the 90s like we looked at the 50s.
Yes. So much yes.
Except, we're not seeing things in black and white, we're just seeing things in
We're,
grainy
we're seeing things in grainy Technicolor.
grainy technicolor. But I think
240i.
like Ford versus Ferrari, if Ford versus Ferrari, we watch the races and we're seeing it from like third person view, and we're seeing the drivers in F1, because of how it's filmed, we're seeing it from all different angles. We get the first person, we get the third person, we get the sky camera that was probably drone shots
Yep.
of
That
the
was dumb.
races and stuff. And it's done in such a way that you really feel like you're in the race. And I think what made it great was that the opening race of this movie, where they're in Daytona, that set the tone of what these races in this movie is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it works so perfectly. The music and the drama and everything. It's like, yeah, I could never race F1 like at all. Like they literally show them racing on Nuremberg at
Oh
one
yeah,
point.
The
I was
Nurburgring.
like, and they're racing F1 cars on a Nuremberg. Get the fuck out of here with that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
dear God. Like, I mean, honestly, I can't wait for it to hit home video, because I might go out to an Air and Space Museum and watch F1 again.
Yeah, if it's
Probably, actually, I probably have to go to the one in
yeah,
Chantilly,
you would
probably.
have to go to the other Udvar, the Udvar Hazy.
Yeah, because I think the one in DC is still closed right now. But yeah, this is one of those movies where it's like, yo, go see it in IMAX. Like it's that good. And like I said, even on the drama side, it hits those beats that you expect. The old and youth, old and young are button heads, and they start making progress, and then tragedy happens, and they got to overcome their circumstances and all that stuff. And like I said, again, it plays to what we've seen before in these. I think to what you were saying offline about this being very much every bit of a sports movie.
Oh, this is a total sports movie, and not to say that in a bad way. It's just this has all of the ingredients of a sports movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
This isn't like a drama.
triumph.
Like it's not a drama. It's not like a drama filled movie centered around a particular event or based on an actual person. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's not like that. That's where I separate the Ford versus Ferrari.
yeah. Because I think also too, as me, like again, because of D, um, I have some aspects of knowledge of F1, and I think this movie did a pretty good job of kind of showing what it takes to be a F1 racer in a
Mhm.
very, I would probably say in a very basic way that gets people to understand the sport of F1 enough to where they can kind of like, all right, is this something that I want to watch after seeing this movie? Which I mean, to me, this is just me, my bias. I think you should watch F1 racing because it's actually fun to watch.
I will say, just watching the movie, it it got me interested in seeing more of F1.
Yeah, because it's a lot more than what people realize it is. Just what the conditioning and just everything it takes to actually be a racer. And there's actually a lot of um, real life F1 races in this movie, because I believe Lewis Hamilton actually helped in producing this film.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton was the producer.
Yeah, he helped in producing this film. So you see Lewis Hamilton, you get Sean Leclerc, you get Verstappen, all of them are in the movie as the racers and stuff. So clearly there was a hand in, hey, if you're going to do a movie about F1, get some actual racers involved in it in some capacity. So you can definitely tell that Lewis Hamilton probably gave them a guidance on, hey, here's what we do to prep for races and stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's, I guess you could say on the surface, it might come across as overwhelming initially when you watch the movie, the way to describe it. But then as the movie progresses, you start understanding like, oh, there is a measure of strategy involved in the racing aspect of it.
Yeah, it's also very very involved.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because it's not just all right, off to the races. We're just going. It's like no, you have to kind of like this strategy, tire wear, like what tires you're going to start off with. Just
Mhm.
all that stuff. It plays a role, and I think it does. At least to me, I feel it helps in people respecting the sport. You know,
I will say that that's what it did. I definitely respected it a lot more.
yeah. It's not to say it was a joke before, but I think people compared to like NASCAR, right? People kind of still kind of take the piss out of NASCAR, but I think there's strategy in NASCAR racing too. But like, it's like, hey, you might want to check out F1. It's more than just hey, guy gets in car and just races. There's a lot more to it than that. And
Mhm.
also just the business side of it is kind of crazy too. Watching this movie,
Well, if anything, the business side of it showed me that they're just as cutthroat as any other
oh, it's
business.
shrewd. It's shrewd as fuck. Like they do not give a fuck.
It's like, hey, writing's on the wall. Here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what makes it kind of interesting because, like I said, Javier's character Ruben, he owns the F1 team, and it's like it hit to I think, like you said, the whole sports thing of like, all right, I'm throwing a Hail Mary, got to get the veteran talent to help the team out, kind of thing and stuff, and this is it. But it works. Like I said, overall, I think all the actors works. Like you said, the music, the cinematography, that's really where it shines at, big time.
Yeah, like I said, the way that they shot this movie was just like the same. I would say the same way that they shot like a lot of those interior, um, like those interior shots, the POV shots, like they did for Top Gun Maverick. You
Oh
see a
yeah.
lot of that in this movie as well.
Well, I mean, yeah, because it's Jerry Bruckheimer, so
Yeah.
like, come on, like, and I think the director, Joseph Kosinski, he actually, yeah, he did direct Top Gun Maverick and stuff. He did Tron Legacy too. I kind of forgot about that.
Yep. Which, by the way, we have another Tron movie coming.
And funny enough, he did work for some of the Gears of War commercials.
Of course.
But
That
nah,
makes total sense.
I no, but like, what's funny? You mentioned Top Gun Maverick. Did we podcast on Top Gun Maverick already?
We haven't done like a not an in-depth
Okay.
discussion on it.
But like one of the things about Top Gun Maverick that caught my eye, especially when they showed the trailer at San Diego before the movie dropped proper, and it was really the thing that grabbed me, and I was like, "Yo, I gotta see this movie." It was that scene that basically was from the end of the movie where they're flying low on the ground, and you see that shot of them like going around the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and you see the fucking air shit, like the sonic boom popping when they're
Yeah.
going around the corner, like he really did a good job of capturing that. Like you see the speed of the jets and everything, and that's how he was able to capture the speed of these F1 because these are like these are like rocket ship machines racing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the shit's no joke. Like it's literally like these are like full blown weapons that like you could die.
Yeah.
And the movie does a really good job of showing like how bad it is if you're not in control and everything. It's crazy, 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 man. But definitely go see this movie, folks. You want IMAX,
Yeah.
IMAX, IMAX. If you can get it
IMAX.
in 4D, see it in 4D. I don't know if you want to see it in 4D with all the shaking and shit, but
But no,
IMAX.
IMAX for sure. Science Theater, IMAX to be precise.
Yeah,
Um, Again, a lot of the like I love the like when the comedy bits come in, it's again good writing.
yeah. That's all it is. Because if you're gonna give comedy, especially for again a dramatic sports movie, the shit better work, and it does. It does. Perfectly. It's like, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie for what it was. I was entertained, and yeah, I can't really say I had a problem with it. I was even satisfied with the ending. I said, you know what? Thank you.
No, I mean, and that's the thing too. It's like when you see the basis of what this movie's going for and what the storyline is, like how the ebbs and flows of it. It's like it really was only one way it could go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine because it didn't need to be the pitch perfect ending. It was like, no, that's the type of ending you need for a movie like this. Like it don't like it's again, it's very realistic to F1. Basically, it didn't need to be the Days of Thunder. Yeah, man, he won Daytona. Yay! And it's like, no, let's play very realistic on this. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, go see it, check it out, and yeah, we'll be back. Peace.
That boy is Benny Hanna.